There he is. He's live.
Thanks, Ricky. Hey, hello, everyone. I'm Marshy, Luke Marshall, if you want to talk to me formally. Mm. And pretty excited today to bring you a webinar with Pointer, which is AI. Is AI coming for your marketing role? My background and interest in this space has sort of carried over the last few years. Trained digital marketer over the last 20 years, active in the startup space. And like everyone else, have noticed the advent of this, I'd say, transformational technology. And I think and honestly believe that the majority of people and the majority of the market don't really know what's coming. And obviously, I'm inside a bubble. I try and turn things away from hype. But for today, really want to just focus it on marketing roles specifically, with the background and the role that I do at Pointer, which is marketing recruitment, and let the data show you what we're seeing and why it's alarming, and probably what top performers are doing to sort of mitigate against this, and then um, you know where the opportunities are for both hiring managers, but also talent who perhaps are feeling maybe a bit left behind. It's very common, and what they could do to help themselves. So, you know, from a big picture perspective, yeah, marketers stuff. Like this is an article recently in Adweek from Mark Ritson. Most marketers will know who he is. And essentially, Anthropic did a labor market study that said the majority of technical skills, that white collars possess. So, development, web development, programming, but also professions like teaching and legal. Um, these professions are largely in the crosshairs, and because marketing is such a language centric role, it doesn't really have formal training. That there's some accreditations you can get from technology companies, and there's certainly degrees and studies you can do, but an open secret in the industry is, when you hire a marketing grad, the amount of information that they take with them to agree to that first job is largely naught, apart from the critical thinking skills. And so, I think there's valid sort of questions to be asking yourself as a marketer or someone hiring marketers. And just wanted to, show data based on the work we have been doing at Pointer, which, you know, one part of this is, okay, well, it's interesting content. Another part of this is, what are the trends over time? And what we've been doing since November is essentially looking at all the marketing jobs that are posted on LinkedIn, looking for any trends and information about the position descriptions, types of roles, seniority, and been sort of regularly releasing a report each month on the deep dives on that. But today, I actually just wanted to pull all that data. And so, from the jobs that have been posted over the last 4 months, the marketing jobs, we've got about 14,000 plus, and wanted to see what the skills that were being requested for in these roles, how frequently they were requested, and look at a couple of roles in specifics to see, okay, you know, this is what the market is asking for or advertising for. This is what we're seeing in AI world, and are they aligned or are they not? And so, without jumping into AI to begin with, the most commonly requested skills, and this across all industries, all marketing roles, social media is number one, CRM number two, project management, three, paid media, four, and stakeholder management, five. And I'd say, with my knowledge and sort of being over 20 years in this industry, it sounds about right. Obviously, in corporate or larger scale organizations, the volumes of project management and stakeholder management go up. Less so in smaller organizations of sort of businesses that Pointer helps. But this sounds about right. Like, yeah. But what's this mean in terms of skills versus AI. And I think this is where, things get a bit like, ugh. So what you're seeing on the screen is what are the most commonly requested skills for a marketing manager specifically, and of this data and of the roles I mentioned, the odd 14,000, this was around 1,200 marketing managers style roles. And from that 1,200, we've got the five most commonly requested skills. And so, yeah, data analysis, obviously a huge one. Um, uh, it's very important to be able to absorb data, interpret data, use that data to make decisions and drive meaningful outcomes. But yeah, the amount of work this used to require pre AI was immense. Like some of my first marketing roles were done within a spreadsheet, buying media, extracting clicks, finding traffics and conversion data and basically, marshaling it towards a goal. Tools like, BI and Power BI, sorry, and Looker Studio absolutely have helped with this in the past. I'd say I would argue Google Analytics 4 makes it a bit harder to scry the tea leaves than the earlier versions of Google Analytics. But these points, this is the most commonly requested skill for a marketing manager. It's moot. Like this is being cracked and solved by generative AI tools. Graph is one out of the US. Filament Analytics, you can ingest your Google Tag Manager data, any other data sets in your Google Analytics data, or you can simply ask Claude Code to do this for you. And the amount of manual labor you need to do in order to extract and divine this data is minimal. You absolutely need to be able to make decisions with that data, and I don't think that's going to be replaced anytime soon. But the way you manipulate and make decisions and gather that data is completely different. For example, this presentation with 14,000 jobs being gathered and the analysis being run, this could not be have done a couple of years ago. Yet the tools now enable this. Um, Leadership for a marketing manager is the second most requested skill. Obviously team management, mentoring, and there's no question leadership and being able to marshal project through stakeholder management. This is a soft skill that will come in handy for life. Um, but I guess my challenge to this still is if headcount is shrinking, what you can do, if you can do more with less, does that leadership still become something that's required of a marketing manager, or is it something that you need to be better at leading the agents and orchestrating the agents? And because we are forward facing and working with early stage companies, and also paying close attention to what is happening in US tech in particular with go to market. Um, the leaders in this space are absolutely leading agent teams and orchestrating these things, not what this skill is and how it's being described in the market today. Um, CRM is one that we enjoy debating and hashing out in the Pointer Go to Market ANZ community. You can join it at pointerstrategy.com. Just find the link there. But these tools and softwares have often been a frustration for marketing teams for a very long time. I encourage you to just do a bit of window shopping and look at a tool like Freckle or Attia. They both have generous free trials, and put it through some enrichment capability. CRMs today, it's fair to say, the most accurate ones will have data that is 80 to 90% accurate. Most are sitting around the 40, 50% mark at best. Particularly with ones with lots of old records. AI cleans this job up. It can enrich, you can ingest data, you can ask for these things, yet the skill of being able to manipulate or use a Salesforce or HubSpot is still being requested when today this has largely been solved and solved in a different way with what AI's capabilities are. The market just hasn't caught up yet. Digital marketing, is a large discipline. What we're seeing, and what we've seen in the data is that SEO, is definitely the most forward facing and sort of leading into AI's capabilities. But across the gamut, lead generation, and paid ads can now today be exclusively managed by AI, for outcomes that are comparable to what a junior paid ad specialist would be able to do. And so, from this pool of
Could
14,000,
could I
yeah,
jump in for a second here, Luke?
yeah,
Just on the stats, if anyone hasn't seen, less than 0.5% of roles mentioned having AI as a required skill, and less than 20% had it as a nice to have. But on SEO, that was the most forward, right? That was the
yeah,
highest amount.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
do you? My question
Yeah,
to you is that because this is what AI can do so well, or is it just because of what hiring managers are aware of what AI can do so well, and they catching up here?
yeah, there's definitely gaps, right? I think talking SEO specifically for a second, you can't do your job without leaning into these tools because it's a competitive, you know, uh, marketplace competing for various people's attention. And anyone who's doing their craft for longer than 5 minutes can see that other companies are beating them applying these techniques. Um,
And I
but
guess AEO and GEO are such major topics in themselves that it's almost like it's crazy to talk about SEO and not talk about, you know, generative engines and answering an AI engine. So makes
yeah,
sense.
I think we've experimented with this at Pointer and setting up AEO skills, and Ricky, you're like Pointer's number one SEO specialist at the moment. Like you're getting outcomes from the traffic, and we're seeing the numbers go up and to the right from our small start. By virtue of being a business owner that is looking to get gains in this area and being curious and leaning into the tech. I think coming back to the question about hiring managers and why this isn't perhaps being advertised or asked for in roles, there's a lag in understanding. And I think if we look at, say, any organization with, say, 100 employees plus, there's a lag between getting the role approved, going to market and then advertising the role. And the larger the organization, the bigger that lag can be. And there's other factors at play like controls and tech and why you can't just throw caution to the wind and lean into AI. But the argument that I sort of want to make here is that if you're just accepting that as status quo, um, these roles and positions that you're hiring for are a ticking time bomb because they're fundamentally changing as we speak.
Mm.
So yeah, and on the amount of explicit mentions of AI versus demanding for it and versus not, yeah, those numbers are horrific because it's probably a good yeah, growth marketing lead actually doesn't differ very much from a marketing manager in terms of the top skills. But for reference, the roles we've hired for the most have been marketing manager and generally head of growth or growth marketing lead roles. And uh, AI is not explicitly being called for. But if we look at customer acquisition as one of the top differentiating skills for a growth marketer, you can't go after new cohorts and run experiments at scale and meet the demands of an organization asking for a growth marketing lead without AI. Like the lag in doing it the old fashioned way with writing landing pages, perhaps using landing page generator tools, briefing freelancers on writing the graphics, perhaps employing a copywriter in the past. That's what you would actually do. Um, this is what the job ads are looking like for growth marketing people. Yet all of what I just described can be done with Claude Code and by orders of magnitude cheaper. And I don't know anyone who is sane and would and looking to hire a growth marketing lead at the early stage levels that isn't leaning into AI, because the outsized advantage you can get is significant. And coming back to the companies that we're competing with, in more mature markets, corporates and the like, who aren't leveraging these tools, an early stage growth marketing lead can absolutely have a feast, exploiting those advantages right now. And I just want to talk, Ricky, about the what the top performers are doing differently, and we see this in interviews, as we're sort of looking to source and vet for this talent. Um, the top performers are basically learning this stuff on the side, looking for their gains and leads. I spoke to a candidate who came from a sort of big financial services business, and while he was looking for work, set up an e-com brand from scratch and got it to revenue neutral and starting to generate some cash flow within 10 months from scratch. He did not have that skill. You cannot do this without AI, and the best people are actually leaning into those capabilities.
Now, it's pretty damn shocking that so few growth marketing leads had AI as an explicit skill requirement on job ads. And we're talking across thousands of job ads here. You cannot do this job without AI.
Almost 1,000 in the last 4 months, Ricky. Yeah.
Or 4 weeks. You cannot do this job without, like, this is an AI job now. It is primarily a person leveraging all of these tools to like rip through the amount of noise on the internet because your competitors have AI, that without this, you simply cannot compete. So,
yeah, spot on. And I think top performers, experimenting, breaking things, posting. I'd say mids. Oh yeah, I use ChatGPT. Or it's just a different language. And I think if your talent and sort of working out, well, what do I do here? The Ritson article, had some great call outs. Like, your soft skills are always going to be useful. So don't freak out. Yeah, there may be jobs invented for people like you that are coming out, but the most urgent call out I can see is increasing your fluency. And so, we debate this in some of the communities we're active in, but how you learn it is less relevant than you can show what you're doing. And a good example of this is I've got a friend, Robbie, who is running workshops and webinars, teaching marketing departments, how to use agents and setting up workflows and doing that. And she can showcase this work as a senior marketer who is upskilled in this area. Like, the time is still relatively early to what the market is demanding. And how you learn this stuff is up to you. Like, there's podcasts, there's YouTube, there's just play and trying to ship or trying to orchestrate something. And coming back to the stats here, like, this is from the February postings, and Ricky mentioned these numbers before. But more importantly, 80 to 99% of the roles out there in February are underskilled, wasteful, or in denial about what you can do. Like, that's how blunt and bleak it is. And I expect this data to sort of, catch up over time. Look,
can I add one other thought that I just had whilst you mentioning this, that 80% are in denial, but more important, as importantly, if you are going into an organization that is not AI forward, I'd be very concerned. Like if they're a big blue chip company, sure, maybe they'll weather the storm and catch up there. But we've also just seen Block lay off 40% of their staff. Maybe, maybe they won't. So it's so important that you're looking for companies that have this in place, that are allowing marketers to use tools, that are giving Nathan Clark spoke about this on the revenue enablement session last week, is that in revenue enablement, you need developer access now, the same way maybe only your IT team would have had access in the past. And it's the same for marketers, that at least 80% of companies are probably not enabling their marketing teams enough in how they can leverage AI and have access to the tools. And I think that's an important consideration for people on the market if they are watching this. Like, you should be interrogating your companies. So like, how are you leveraging AI to get this done? Because if they didn't mention it in the job ad, there's some red flags.
Yeah. It's a ripper question to throw through the selection process because, what have you done to upskill in AI as a company? For example, like, oh no, IT says we have to use Gemini only, and it's or Copilot because of this. Like these are flags. Like, how can you be expected to do your job in a competitive marketplace with such strict parameters? And on the developer access, like there's probably yeah, cyber professionals that would be shirking at such a thought. But there's not an exec in the country that is not thinking about AI and what impact it has on their business. It's one of the top three things that they're considering, in terms of long-term impact. And so there seems to be a gap somewhere along the food chain in terms of marketing function and what the execs are thinking that needs some illumination because I've followed this for a number of years. I've written about it, and the data isn't lying here. So feel free to jump in with questions if you're on the LinkedIn and on the comments. But if you're curious and you're writing a current position description and want to know what can and can't be done with AI, please, feel free to send it my way. I'll just record a quick loom and tell you what I think. No pitch. I'm just here to help and sort of, by you attending something like this or viewing something like this, you're clearly asking the right questions anyway. So thank you.
Look, really great, short, sharp, to the point. I think the takeaways for me here, and let me just move back to this. Takeaways for me here are companies need to be leaning into this. If you haven't got it in your last job description, maybe HR is not the right department to be hiring your marketing managers. Maybe they need to be looking at specialists now, like you have in sales and other areas. The actual marketing managers need to be staying on top of what's possible. Certainly, as we've gotten comments from Jesse and Pasha in the chat, AI fluency is important because like knowing current skills and current AI tools is also irrelevant in 6 months' time. This has to be how do you stay on top of it? What are you doing? And creating environments where your team can do that. And there is risk management involved here. So they need some sandboxed environments where they can test and push. They need some extra leeway where maybe they can do first and ask permission later. Like these are parts of the problems holding companies back and holding candidates back if they can't explore. And like Jesse mentioned, side projects. If you can't do this at your company, I don't know, just go build something. It's not a side hustle. I'm not saying start a new career. Like I'm not saying that. But if you're not tinkering with this, you're falling behind at a rapid rate.
100%. Leaving money on the table and leaving opportunities on the table too.
And every startup in particular, I can tell you at that enterprise stage, this alpha that we're calling the alpha, like the differential in your go-to-market and your revenue engine based on leveraging the most sophisticated tools relative to an enterprise that has to wait until things are mainstream. You need that alpha, you need the beta, you need every little piece of advantage that you can get to get ahead. So now is the time, literally now, because they're catching up, the big enterprises. So all good. Marshy, thank you for that. Any questions? Marshy is really the person who's leading the charge in Australia knows this better than anyone, helping hiring managers build the right plans for how they can leverage AI and then find the right people who can fill that, and helping to keep those people upskilled and in the know so that they never fall behind. Like from go to woe, that's the whole service here. And Jesse, Pasha, everyone in the chat that's asked questions, thank you very much. Let's take this all offline into the Go-to-Market ANZ community chat and keep the conversation going there.
Thanks, guys. Awesome chat today. Thank you.